Hi everyone. In this video, we will discuss about what is meant by ideal fluid, which are the characteristics of ideal fluid, and the main or very important relation or an expression of an ideal fluid, that is equation of continuity. So in this diagram, in these pictures, you can see that there are two pictures are seen. In one, water is flowing very smoothly. You can see that as a line itself. In the other picture, you can see that irregular flow of water is there. No. So these can be how these pictures can be related to the topic that we are discussing today. Okay, we'll see. So now we will discuss what is meant by streamline flow. So when a liquid flows such that each particle of the liquid passing a given point moves along the same path and has the same velocity as its predecessor, the flow is called streamline flow or steady flow. So what is meant by streamline flow? Here the liquid is flowing. So when the liquid is flowing, at each point what happens? The liquid but different particles of the liquid is crossing through different points. No. So if a liquid particle is crossing through a point with some velocity, the coming particle just after that also will flow with the same velocity as that the velocity with which the previous one gone. Such type of flow is known as streamline flow or steady flow. Okay. So here you can see an example of streamline flow, or that is also known as laminar flow. So here you can see that smooth will be there. The smooth flow of liquid will be there. Such flow is known as streamline flow. And now we will see which are the properties of streamline flow. So the first and important property is that the tangent at any point on the streamline gives the direction of velocity of fluid particle at that point. So if we are drawing tangent to the streamline, that gives the direction of velocity. So here you can see that we are marking ABCD. A streamline is shown with a curve. Streamline flow is there. So here at point A, if we want to find the velocity, we have to draw tangent. That tangent will be indicated by the velocity. So that is shown as V1. Similarly at point B, if we want to find the velocity, again we have to draw the tangent at that point B. So V2 indicates the velocity at that point B. Similarly at point C, V3 indicates the velocity. Okay. So that is the important property of streamline flow. The tangent at any point on the streamline gives the direction of velocity of fluid particle at that point. And next property is that in a steady flow, no two streamlines can cross each other. That is clearly understood by the diagram itself. Why two streamlines can cross each other? So if two streamlines are intersecting, what happens at the intersecting point? Two directions of velocities will be there, because direction of velocity is obtained by tangent. So if two streamlines are intersecting, at the intersecting point we can draw two tangents. That is not possible, and hence we can say that in a steady flow no two streamlines can cross each other. And next property is that greater the number of streamlines passing normally through a section of the fluid, larger is the fluid velocity at that section. So if more number of streamlines are passing, but it shows the fluid velocity at that section is more. If the number of lines passing through that area is lesser, then we can say fluid velocity also will be lesser. Okay. So we can say whether fluid velocity is more or less, that depends on the number of streamlines passing normally through that section. Okay. And next one, fluid velocity remains constant at any point of a streamline. If we are considering at a point of a streamline, that fluid velocity will remain same, but it may be different at different points of the streamline. That's why I told you here in this diagram itself, at point A, any particle which crosses the point A will have the same velocity V1. Similarly at point B, the particle which are passing through that point B will have velocity V2. Similarly, the fluid particles passing through the point C will have velocity V3. But it's not necessary that V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3. That may be different. Okay, it may be different. It can be same also. It may be different also. Okay, is it clear? So these are the properties of streamline flow. And now we will discuss what is meant by laminar flow. That is also actually we can say that it is streamline flow itself. When the velocity of the flow of a liquid is less than its critical velocity. So there is a particular velocity below which the liquid flows steadily. Okay, there is a particular velocity of the liquid below which the liquid flows steadily, and that velocity is known as critical velocity. In the next topic, that only we are going to discuss. Okay, so each layer of the liquid slides off the other layer. So here in that case, if the velocity is less than critical velocity, the liquid flows layer by layer. In that way we can assume that is one layer slides over the other layer. It behaves as if different lamina are sliding over one another. So the behavior of laminar flow is in such a way that different laminas are sliding one over the other. So such a flow is called laminar flow. So laminar flow is also, we can say that it is streamline flow itself. So here you can see that water is coming through the pipe. So smoothly it is coming without any interruption, it is following the same path. So this we can consider it as a laminar flow. So steady flow. But if the velocity is more, what happens? You can see that the movement of the liquid particles will be irregular. You might have noticed when you switch on the pipe itself, you might have noticed if the velocity exceeds, if the velocity is more, it will not be laminar flow. Okay. And now we will discuss what is meant by turbulent flow. When the velocity exceeds critical velocity, the liquid flow becomes zigzag. The path and the velocity of a liquid particle changes continuously, haphazardly, and this flow is called turbulent flow. So if the velocity is less than critical velocity, already we told you the flow will be streamline flow or laminar flow. But if the velocity of the liquid exceeds critical velocity, the liquid flow will not become smooth, it will become zigzag. So the path and the velocity of the particle at each and every instant, it will be continuously, it will be changing. Such flow is called turbulent flow. So in the case of turbulent flow, we can say there will be vortex. Okay. So here you can see that velocity, the flow is not smooth. Here it is irregular, it is there. Okay. Such type of flow is known as turbulent flow. So in the case of laminar flow, you can see that here it is, we can consider it as the march past of soldiers. Each soldier will follow the path of the previous soldier. No? So like that only in the case of laminar flow also, each particle will follow the path of the previous particle, and whenever it reaches that particular point, each particle will have the same velocity as that of the previous velocity. In the case of turbulent flow, here you can see that the movement is irregular. Okay, like that the people are going in a market. In a market, there will not be no regular line or nothing is there. Irregular movements will be there. So that can be assumed as turbulent flow. Okay. So here itself, here also you can see that in the left hand side you can see that the flow is smooth one, so that can be considered as streamline flow. In the right hand side, the movement of water or flowing of water is irregular one, so that is an example of turbulent flow. So on the same river itself you can see that here streamline flow and turbulent flow, when the movement of the water becomes irregular, if it is not flowing in a smooth manner, or if it is flowing, the path is zigzag one, then we can say that flow has turbulent flow. So I hope all of you understood what is meant by streamline flow and turbulent flow clearly. So in the same motion of water itself, here you can see that part is streamline flow and a part is turbulent flow. So it depends on the velocity of the particle. Okay. Now we will see what is meant by velocity profile. The surface obtained by joining the heads of the velocity vectors for the particles in a section of a flowing liquid is called a velocity profile. if we are drawing the surface, the velocity vectors are there. Now for different particles will have velocity. So if we are joining all those velocity vectors, its heads if we are joining, the surface what we are obtaining is called velocity profile. So in the case of an ideal fluid, when it is flowing through a pipe, what happens? All the particle will have same velocity because it is non-viscous fluid. If the fluid has no viscosity, that's why we are telling it as ideal fluid. If the fluid has no viscosity, we can say that each particle will have same velocity. So whether it is at the section closer to the pipe or whether it is at the center of the pipe or bottom of the pipe, not a matter, velocity of the particle will be same. So if we are joining the heads of the velocity vectors, we will get a plane surface. But in the case of a viscous flow, we can say that near to the pipe, the fluid velocity will be very less or almost zero, and when it approaches the center, the fluid velocity is maximum. So if we join the heads of the velocity vector, we will get a parabolic surface. Okay. So in the case of a non-viscous fluid, the velocity profile is plane surface, and in the case of viscous flow of a fluid through a pipe, the velocity profile is parabolic surface. And now we will see what is meant by critical velocity. Just what is meant by that already we discussed. Again we can define what is meant by critical velocity. The critical velocity of a liquid is that limiting value of its velocity of flow up to which the flow is streamlined and above which the flow is turbulent. So it is the limiting value, okay, below which the flow will be streamlined and above the velocity of the liquid exceeds that velocity, it will become turbulent. And this critical velocity depends on coefficient of viscosity eta, density of the liquid rho, and diameter of the tube d. So critical velocity depends on three parameters: coefficient of viscosity eta, density of the liquid rho, and diameter of the tube d. And this is the work that you have to do. You have to obtain an expression for the critical velocity in terms of these parameters. Okay. So that I am writing here. Actually this expression you can obtain by dimensional analysis, that I am skipping here. You have to do that. Okay. So you will get the expression for critical velocity as Vc is the critical velocity, that is equal to k eta by rho d, where k is a dimensionless constant, eta is coefficient of viscosity, rho is density, and d is diameter. So depending on the critical velocity, we can say that whether it will become streamlined or turbulent. So if the critical velocity is large, we can say velocity. In that case, that it will become it will become streamlined flow. So for critical velocity to be large, which are the conditions? Eta should be large, density should be small, and width of the pipe should be small, or diameter of the pipe should be small. Then only critical velocity will be large. So the flow of liquids of higher viscosity and lower density through narrow pipes. That if the liquid is flowing through a narrow pipe and if the density of the liquid is smaller and if it has higher viscosity, then it tends to be streamlined. Why? Because critical velocity is large. So opposite case we can say critical velocity is small. So the flow of liquids of lower viscosity and higher density through broad pipes tend to become turbulent because critical velocity is small. Okay. So that is the significance of critical velocity. And next one is Reynolds number. It is a dimensionless parameter whose value determines the nature of flow of a liquid through a pipe. Okay. It is a dimensional parameter, that is actually this Reynolds number that we are obtaining from the previous equation itself, from that expression dimensionless constant k, that is actually the Reynolds number. Okay. So it is a dimensionless parameter whose value determines the nature of flow of a liquid through a pipe. And Reynolds number is given by rho Vd by eta, where eta is coefficient of viscosity, rho is density of liquid, and d is diameter, and v is the velocity of the liquid. So by knowing the Reynolds number of the liquid, we can say whether it is streamlined or turbulent flow. Okay. And next we will discuss what is meant by ideal fluid. An ideal fluid is one which is non-viscous, incompressible, and its flow is steady and irrotational. Okay. An ideal fluid is one which is it should be non-viscous, it should be incompressible, and its flow should be steady and irrotational. So we will discuss one by one what is meant by this. So steady flow means the fluid velocity at each point does not change with time, either in magnitude or in direction. It should be streamlined flow or laminar flow. So we can say that velocity will not be changing in magnitude or direction with time. Okay. Such flow is known as steady flow. So if it is steady flow, that is one of the characteristics of ideal fluid. And next one, it should be incompressible flow. So what is meant by incompressible? If the density of the fluid remains constant, it should not be compressible. No, it should not be compressible means density remains constant. So when the density remains constant during its flow, we can say that it is incompressible. Next one is non-viscous flow. Non-viscous flow means viscosity will not be there, or we can say the fluid offers no internal friction. If there is no internal friction, that we can say it as non-viscous flow, or viscosity will not be there. And last one is irrotational flow. Irrotational flow means there is no angular momentum of the fluid about any point. So net angular momentum will be 0, or in other words we can say that if we are keeping a disk on the flow of an ideal fluid, that disk will not rotate with respect to its center of mass. Such flow is known as irrotational flow. So if it satisfies that all those characteristics, it should be steady flow, incompressible flow, non-viscous flow, and irrotational flow, then that fluid can be said to be ideal fluid. Now we will see equation of continuity. Equation of continuity says that during the streamlined flow of the non-viscous and incompressible fluid through a pipe of varying cross-section, the product of area of cross-section and the normal fluid velocity, that is A into V, area into velocity, remains constant throughout the flow. So what equation of continuity says? That first all those lines, what it shows, it is the property of ideal fluid. So you can write for an ideal fluid, the product of area of cross section and normal fluid velocity is constant. That is very important. You have to write for an ideal fluid, or you have to write during the streamlined flow of the non-viscous and incompressible fluid through a pipe of varying cross section, the product of area of cross section and the normal fluid velocity remains constant. So we can write for an ideal fluid, A into V is constant. What is A? Cross-sectional area, and V is velocity. This is known as equation of continuity, and it is very, very important. Now we will prove how we can prove equation of continuity. For that we are considering a pipe of varying cross-section. 2 points we are considering 1 and 2. Let A1 is the A1 is the cross-sectional area at that point, and A2 is the cross-sectional area at the point 2, and let V1 and V2 be the velocities. Okay, and how we can prove that one, that we are going to see. So volume flow in over A1. What is the volume of liquid flowing through A1? That can be written as cross-sectional area into distance. No? So A1 into V1 into, if delta t is the time taken for the flow, we can write during a time delta t, it will travel a horizontal distance which is given by V1 into delta t. So volume flowing through A1 can be written as cross-sectional area into distance. So we can write A1 into V1 into delta t. Similarly, volume flowing out over A2. Through A2 it comes out. No, so that can be written as cross-sectional area into distance travel during that distance of the liquid travel during that time, that can be written as A2 into velocity into time. Velocity at that point is V2 and same time duration, that is equal to V2 delta T. And according to law of conservation of mass, we know that mass cannot be constructed or destroyed. So whatever may be the mass of water coming through A1, so through A1, the same mass will coming through A2. So we can write mass coming through A1 is equal to mass coming through A2. And what is mass coming through A1? That can be written as density into volume through A1. So rho into A1 V1 delta T. And mass coming through A2 can be written as rho into A2 V2 delta T. Or we can write it as rho. Delta T can be cancelled. So rho A1 V1 is equal to rho A2 V2. Since the fluid is incompressible, density also will remain same. So we can write equation of continuity as A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. Okay. So this is applicable for incompressible non-viscous fluid. Okay. A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2 and flow should be steady. Or we can say for an ideal fluid, the product of cross-sectional area into velocity remains constant throughout its flow. Actually, this proof of equation of continuity is obtaining from the basic law, that is law of conservation of mass. Mass remains same. Okay, mass cannot be constructed or destroyed. Now we will discuss one or two problems related to equation of continuity. A water pipe narrows from a radius of R1 equal to 4.99 cm to a radius of R2 which is equal to 2.75 cm. If the speed of the water in the wider part of the pipe is 1.31 meter per second, what is the speed of the water in the narrower part? Okay. So what it is given, both radius, narrow. A water pipe has narrow and wider part. So narrow part radius is given, wider part radius is given, and wider part, what else given? Speed is also given, and you have to find the speed at the narrower part. So you have to use equation of continuity. A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. And how to find cross-sectional area? Cross-sectional area of pipe will be of circular in shape. So area can be find out. Area is equal to pi r square. No. So which are data given, that we are writing radius of narrow part, that we are writing it as small r, that is equal to 4.99 centimeter. So that can be converted into meter. So 4.99 into 10 raised to minus 2 meter. Similarly, radius of wider part is given by, even here it is given as R2, but here we are writing it as capital R, that is equal to 2.75 into 10 raised to minus 2 meter. Okay. So here radius of, actually it is radius of wider part is given 4.99 into 10 raised to minus 2 and radius of narrower part is given 2.75 into 10 raised to minus 2 and speed of flow through the wider part is given by 1.31. By applying equation of continuity, you can write small a into v is equal to capital A into v, or small v is equal to capital A into v by a. So pi r square, so pi into 4.99 whole square divided by pi into 2.75 whole square into 1.31. So if you simplify, you will get it as 4.31. Okay. So here it should be corrected. Radius of wider part is given 4.99 10 raised to minus 2 meter and radius of narrower part is given 2.75 into 10 raised to minus 2 meter. Okay. Remaining part is correct. So here given data you have to correct it. Okay. And now we will discuss the next problem. The cylindrical tube of a spray pump has a cross section of 8 cm square, one end of which has 40 fine holes, each of diameter 1 mm. If the liquid flow inside the tube is 1.5 meter per minute, what is the speed of ejection of the liquid through the holes? You might have seen sprayer, no? Okay, what we are using in liquid sprayer, where there will be fine holes will be there, no? So here we have to find what is the velocity of liquid coming through the holes. So area of cross section of spray pump is given, that is 8 cm square. If it is converted into meter, 8 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter square. Number of holes is given 40. Radius of each hole is given. R is equal to D by 2, which is equal to 0.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter. Area of cross section of each hole can be written as A is equal to pi r square. So pi into radius, it is just now we calculated 0.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 whole square. And what is the total area of 40 holes? So 40 into pi r square. No. So that can be substituted. So you will get it as 31.41 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter square. Now speed of flow of liquid inside the tube V1, it is given 1.5 meter per minute. It should be converted into meter per second. So divided by 60, if you do and simplify, you will get it as 0.025 meter per second. By equation of continuity, we can write V2 is equal to A1 V1 by A2. A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. A1 is given, V1 is given, A2 we calculated. So 8 into 10 raised to minus 4 into 0.025 divided by, okay, here after bracket forgotten to written divided by, you have to write it as divided by 31.61 into 10 raised to minus 6. So if you simplify, you will get it as 0.633 meter per second. Okay, so this is about equation of continuity. And now we will discuss about the energy of a fluid in a steady flow. So there are different types of energy that already you have studied. Kinetic energy, you know, pressure, potential energy, you know, and one more energy that you will study here, that is pressure energy. So first of all, we will discuss what is meant by kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy associated with the motion of the liquid, and the expression of kinetic energy is given by half mv square, where m is the mass of the liquid and v is the velocity of the liquid. That already you know. And here 2-3 terms that we are studying newly. First we can discuss what is meant by kinetic energy per unit mass of the liquid. So if we are dividing the above expression by mass, we will get kinetic energy per unit mass of the liquid, and that is given by v square by 2 because m will get cancelled. Similarly, kinetic energy per unit weight of the liquid. How we will get half mv square divided by mg? No. Kinetic energy per unit weight. So kinetic energy is half mv square divided by mg. So m will get cancelled. What you will get? V square by 2g. And this kinetic energy per unit weight is known as velocity head, or sometimes in some book it is also given as kinetic head or velocity head. Okay. And next one is kinetic energy per unit volume of the liquid. So you have to divide half mv square by v, where v is the volume. Capital V and small v, don't get confused. Small v stands for the velocity of the liquid and capital V stands for the volume of the liquid. And here what you can write, m by v, mass by volume can be written as density. So you will get kinetic energy per unit volume of the liquid, you will get it as half rho v square. Okay. Similarly, we can write potential energy. So if the liquid is flowing through some height, the potential energy is given by mgh, where m is the mass of the liquid, g is acceleration due to gravity, and h is the average height of the liquid from the ground level. Same way we can define here also potential energy per unit mass, that can be written as gh. M will get cancelled, mgh by m, you will get it as gh. Similarly, potential energy per unit weight can be written as mgh by mg, which is equal to h, and that is known as potential head or gravitational head. So potential energy per unit weight is known as potential head or gravitational head. Same way we can define potential energy per unit volume, that is equal to mgh by v. So m by v can be written as rho. So rho gh. Okay. And again we can define potential energy per unit mass, and that is equal to gh, that already we discussed. Okay. And next one we are going to discuss is pressure energy, that is also energy of a fluid in a steady flow. So 3 types of energies are there: kinetic energy, potential energy and pressure energy. And now we will discuss about pressure energy. So to define pressure energy, we are considering liquid in a tank, and at the bottom there is a small hole and it is connected with a piston. So because of the pressure, what happens, this piston will be moved, and let x be the distance through which the piston moves. So we can find what is the expression for the work done. So work done can be written as force into distance, and force can be written as pressure into area into distance. So if P is the pressure and A is the cross-sectional area, at that region where the piston is connected at the bottom. No, water will come through that. So P into A into X is the distance through which the piston moves. So P into A into X. So A into X can be written as volume, that is volume swept by the piston. So we can write pressure energy. This work done will be stored as the energy, and that energy is known as pressure energy. So pressure energy can be written as P into V. Same way previously what we discussed, same way here also we can define pressure energy per unit volume can be written as PV by V, that is equal to P. Similarly, pressure energy per unit mass can be written as PV by M, and V can be taken to denominator. So M by V will be there. M by V can be written as density. So pressure energy per unit mass can be written as P by rho. Pressure energy per unit weight can be written as PV by mg. So that can be written as P by rho g. M by V we are writing it as rho. Okay. Is it clear? So these are all about. So pressure energy per unit weight is PV by mg, and that is equal to P by rho g. Okay. So this is known as pressure head. So we can say that there are three types of energy that we discussed: kinetic energy, potential energy, and pressure energy. So velocity head, potential head or gravitational head, and pressure head. Okay, pressure energy per unit weight is known as pressure head. So that is equal to P by rho g. Okay. So today we discussed what is meant by streamline flow, turbulent flow, laminar flow, critical velocity, and ideal fluid, and characteristics of ideal fluid, equation of continuity, and energy related to the steady flow of liquid. Okay. So I hope all of you understood. This is very important. In continuation with this, one important principle is the Bernoulli's principle that we will discuss in the next video. For that you should know these terms thoroughly, then only you can understand that one. Okay. Is it clear? And thank you.